This is a training video on how to use the Bedrock calculator. Here we are at the Landscaper's Corner Advanced page on Beginner's Guide to LawnCare.com. We're going to just scroll down the page all the way to the Bedrock section. How to measure, calculate, and spread bedrock. You can watch the video here on measuring for the bedrock. This is an average of 1 to 3 inches in bedrock. Obviously there's large bedrock that would be different calculations, and I have not created a calculator for that yet. And I possibly will make one day, just depending on the demand. Okay, so we're going to scroll down. This video's specific to the actual calculator, how to use the Bedrock calculator. So just like all the other calculators, you will click here to download the Bedrock calculator. So you're going to click there, and it just downloaded here to the left. We're going to open it up in the Excel workbook. Obviously you're going to have Microsoft Office for any of my calculators. You're going to go up here and click Enable Editing, and then we're going to actually look at this calculator, and we're going to punch in the dimensions according to what we have on the actual video that I used to show you how to actually walk off and measure. Here we have labeled on this job for bedrock areas 1 through 6. You'll actually notice on that video on the back side of the property I measured for pine needles separately, which I'm obviously not going to do here, but that job I laid bedrock all in the front, and then I did the pine needles in the back, or I measured for it. We ended up not doing pine needles. We ended up actually spreading juniper bushes just to do ground cover on a back hill. So anyways, this is small bedrock, and so we're going to put in here the dimensions that were drawn out here to the right. So the first area is 10 feet by 7 feet at a 2-inch depth. I would say just like the mulch for bedrock and a wheelbarrow. My wheelbarrow size is 10 cubic feet, but just like the gravel, this is heavy, and you'll notice on the weight down here that the gravel and bedrock, the calculations are the same in the weight. It's just the way it's measured out, and the weight's the same too between the two rocks. So it's kind of cool how it works out. I could just use one calculator for either one of these estimates. So as I mentioned in the gravel the video on how to use the gravel calculator, the wheelbarrow you're only going to be able to fill up about halfway. So I'm going to do 10 cubic feet, and since there's 6 sections, you can just click in this depth here, find the arrow, drag it down to sections, and it will just copy that 2-inch depth. And the same thing with the wheelbarrow. Click in there, grab the arrow, pull it down to 6 sections, so I don't have to keep typing in all these. So now all I got to do is punch in the length times the width of each area, and it will go very quick. And just calculate all this out. 4 by 4. Section 4 is 3 by 3. 5 is 10 by 9 feet, and 15 by 5 feet. Okay, so now it has calculated it all out. Now notice, just like the gravel, this is in tons. Most of the time when you get rock, it's sold by the ton, and so this tells you that it's 2.49 tons, so 2.5 tons. You're obviously going to round up here, and this is down to the wheelbarrow load again. And each section as any video you watch. Everything's measured out in sections or areas as we have over here. That way you know exactly how many loads to take to each section. This really is going to help you as far as being very efficient and quick in unloading the material to each area, and then you can go back and spread it all in. And then, this is rough estimates here, obviously. You're not going to be able to do a 0.3 of a wheelbarrow load. So, you're going to do, 0.3 is obviously like a third of this right here, so it's just a touch. So obviously these are averages. It's just a touch in that section. And then you can go back and fill in whatever you have left and even out these spaces. But this just gives you a rough estimate of how many wheelbarrow loads for each section. Even down here, total wheelbarrow loads it's going to take you for this job. And again, if you're going to do the weight, if you're going to actually load this up on your own trailer, you're going to want to make sure that it doesn't exceed the weight limit that your trailer is able to carry, and also your vehicle. It's obviously got to be able to pull that weight. Okay, then cost per ton, we're going to do where I'm at, it's about $90 to $95 per ton, so you want to include tax. Let's just say 95 for sake of illustration per ton on the cost. And I'm going to do rock. I'm going to actually charge a good amount per ton. I'm going to actually do $100 per ton of rock to carry, and I always add about a $50 delivery charge in there. So $535.69. So I just round that to, I always round up a little bit, make sure you cover the cost of the tax, make sure you get enough for tax. So I would say $540 for this job. Now notice again, as I said in the gravel training video, that this is going to automatically calculate it in cubic yards as well, just in case the company that you buy your gravel or your bedrock from, that they are, they might sell it by the cubic yard instead of by the ton, and so you're going to want to know how much to get from them. So it's about 1.5 cubic yards, and as opposed to 2.5 tons, which obviously the weight is going to be the same amount of rock. It's just how the company measures it out when they're scooping it up, because some of their scoops, measure in, or they know how much is a ton, and some they know how much is a cubic yard, or some of them just go by the bucket load, but they know about the weight of it. So in ton or in the cubic yard, how much it's going to spread. So then you have to separately, if you want it in cubic yards, you're going to have to separately enter the amount, the cost per cubic yard, because you're actually doing less cubic yards because it covers more square footage, but it's probably going to cost more. So let's say it's going to cost you, $140 per cubic yard, and you're still going to charge, you're actually going to charge a little more per cubic yard too. So instead of 100, we'll do the same thing, 140 at a $50 rate, $4.99. So and notice this one was we rounded up to 440. As I mentioned in the gravel training video, I would just punch in the cost up here at 540 instead of try to figure out down here separately, because it's going to be a little bit different. So you can just go off and you're still spreading the same exact amount of rock. It's just, again, the measurement is going to look different according to how you according to how it is sold at the rock company. So this is really the only thing that's different than the the calculator that measures by the ton. Notice the wheelbarrow amounts are going to be the same as, oops, this one didn't have, for some reason this one didn't do 2. I'll have to change that in the calculator. It didn't calculate that out. For some reason it didn't copy that 2, so I'll have to look at that. Okay, but nonetheless, this just shows you how to measure for Bedrock. It's very simple. As you do, these calculators are very similar to each other. You know, the mulch one, the dirt topsoil one, they're all spread out in either tons or cubic yards, and then by the wheelbarrow load, and then you put your cost, your labor, and then you'll know how much to charge them for the job, and this will save you a lot of time. So that's how to use the calculator for measuring and estimating the cost to do a Bedrock install.